Thank you.
Great, shall we start?
Yep, yes, we are live. Devon, over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our coffee chat with Claycia Johnson on this lovely Thursday morning from South Africa. It's with much love and respect that we greet you, Claycia. Thank you for your time this morning. We really appreciate this.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Let's start with your personal journey, please. Please talk us through your time at BMW Group, your current position, and your vision for your career.
Sure. So I've been with BMW, it's about just over 10 years now. I started on the Mini side of the business. I was dealing a lot from a motorsports and a brand perspective. I then moved into the Mini product space as well. So helping to and introducing the Mini Pacement. So that was quite exciting. So that was really the first car that I got to introduce into the market. And I think that's where I really started to get a taste of products and being technically minded and just loving the fact of being able to look at the details and understand what to bring into the market, how, when, who, pricing, positioning. So that really started to spark a bit of an interest. I then had the opportunity to move over to the BMW brand. And in the beginning there, I was doing a lot of the product and pricing analysis, positioning within the markets, a lot of economic data, a lot of seeing, are we putting the right cars in the right spaces, right pricing? So that was also quite exciting. Then in about 2015, I had the opportunity to become the product manager for BMW i. And that's really where I got the first taste of electromobility. So I was responsible for BMW i3, i8, and then also all the connected car technologies. So obviously, Devon, I'm sure you're aware of all the connected drive technologies within the cars, how much it's enhanced and improved over the years, from intelligent personal assistant to emergency call within the car. So I've always loved being in the space of innovation, new technologies, and being within the product team as well. It allowed me to really play within that space. So working on the electric vehicle portfolio, and then I got to drive one, and my world really changed, I think, at that moment, because you don't really fully understand electric mobility until you have driven an electric car. It is completely different. Your mind shifts, changes, and especially when you start talking about products like i3, it really was an innovation, because even the entire interior was completely different to what you know from a BMW standpoint. 90% of the materials are recycled materials. So you really start to step into this new world. Sustainability is really at the core of what the BMW brand is all about. And we really take it seriously, all the way from supply chain to how we produce our products to the actual end products that the customer sees as well. So to be able to be in that space and really play an important role, I think was very exciting. I then took a little bit of a break from the product side to go and grow my skills on the digital side. So I'm sure you're aware that BMW is now operating on a completely different new retail sales model. So I had the opportunity to really start to develop a lot of other skills on that side of the business. And as we know how important digital is, I mean, right now we're live streaming. Who knew a few years ago, you know, that the world would kind of look like this? I think we all envisioned how much digitalization would take off. And then you start to get some sort of effects within the market environment, which also forces people to make that shift as well. So we were kind of working on that for quite some time. And as part of the new retail sales model, we also went through a complete business model change. We had to re-look at how do you actually operate to ensure that you're giving the customer the best. So a lot of roles changed, a lot of ways that we do things changed, and I think it definitely was for the better. And then the opportunity came up to obviously oversee electromobility, which is where I am now. So I definitely jumped at that one to get back into the space.
It's the future.
And yeah, definitely. So I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I take all my learnings from all the different roles that I've been in, and it's really great because the role is not just from a product perspective, but it really starts to look at electromobility end to end. It's also a group role, so I'm responsible for all brands. So we really start to look at everything from ordering to pricing, positioning, to customer touch points, to even from an after sales customer support perspective, to working with financial services. So it's extremely cross-functional, works throughout all touch points of the business to make sure that we're really looking at electromobility from end to end. So in terms of where my career is kind of going, I guess it can only go up from here. I've always been somewhat of a bookworm and an intellectual, so I always continue to study, read. I'm always doing some sort of courses, trying to remain really relevant and seeing what's happening in the market, not just our market, but globally as well. And how do we start to bring those sorts of shifts and changes? The world is changing very fast. People always say South Africa is always a little bit behind, but you'll actually be surprised. There's a lot of innovation that happens within this market, and there's a lot of skills, and there are a lot of very intelligent people that are working on so many different solutions, which is also just going to help our market thrive. So hopefully I still get to play within that space. So me, as long as I'm working on innovation, sustainability, new technologies, that's really where my passion lies.
Yeah, wonderful. And I can vouch for that because I know you for a few years.
Yeah.
And, and therefore my love for BMW as a company, BMW Group, the people, the products, the brands is real. And it's not just because we're having a chat with you this morning. You know that I'm a huge BMW fanboy and count on support as well. And hopefully we can introduce you to a few people in the industry during EMCSA and also make lives a little bit easier for you. And just know that we're always going to be watching you and hope to see you at the top of the sales charts because that's where you deserve to be.
Yeah.
I know from a personal level that you guys put in so much effort for so many years and so much of resources, and and there's such great people and such smart people there. And you really deserve to pick up, call it, that leading premium position, the innovator position in the EV market in South Africa. So well done and thank you. Thank you for all that you've done, and knowing you as a person. I've worked with you side by side with you to know what a hard worker you are and how much you've done for the EV mobility side of the industry up to now. So we are looking to you as one of our leaders to guide us and to as we transition to this new technology. So thank you for being part of EMCSA.
Thanks.
And but as always, it's a pleasure, and I mean that from my heart. But the core of every BMW, and I guess BMW Group product, it's products and innovation and market leadership in that sense. So please, can you give us a few insights of what we can expect from a product perspective during 2021?
Yeah, so I mean, if we kind of look at where we've come from, so I mean, you rightfully say that we've been in the market for a long time. BMW's worked really hard, especially on battery technologies, efficiencies. Our batteries have gotten so much better over the years, especially because I've been dealing with it for such a long time. I think I sometimes get overexcited when I start to see new products. And you really start to see this evolution of product itself, and how far we've come actually. So I mean, if we also look at in terms of from a current product perspective, I mean, we have the plug-in hybrids, we have the X5 Extra 40e. We also have the 7 Series, the 745 LE X-Drive as well. We then have the i8, so the i8 Coupe, the Roadster. It's obviously ending towards the end of its life cycle as well, but we still see a few units within the market. Then we have the i3, which was obviously quite iconic from an electromobility space, because it really started to look at electromobility in a different light, even from an interior perspective, as I mentioned earlier. So from the i3, from a 94 amp to the 120 amp that we now offer today, and the i3S as well. So, and then at the end of last year, we also launched the Mini SE. So Mini came to the game as well, very exciting. So, especially because I started out in the Mini side, so it's great to kind of have them back into my portfolio. And then towards the second half of this year, we'll see the arrival of the iX3. So that's quite exciting as well, because now we're starting to look into a bit of a different space when it comes to electromobility. So I mean, there we're talking about 460-kilometer range as well. And then after that, not too long after that, we'll see the introduction of the iX. So that's also quite different, pioneering as well, because it's really pure BEV as well, completely new concept. So initially, I think from concept phase, it was called iNext. And now when it gets into launch, it'll be the iX. And then, of course, we'll see the i4 not too long after that within the market.
Oh, yes.
Well.
Now that's
I'm sure that's one that's very
going to
close
be on the
to your heart,
shopping list.
if I know you so well.
Gonna have to work very hard, but yeah, that's going to be on the shopping list.
Yeah,
Price,
so
price
it's quite
dependent.
exciting, definitely. Wow. So it's quite exciting. This is, for me, I always say this is as exciting as electromobility has been in a while, because we've taken some time to really focus on battery technologies, efficiencies, how do we make it better for the customer, and now you're starting to see these products coming out. So when it's and I mean, Devin, you know this, also working within the automotive industry, it's also different when you start planning this vehicle, because we really start planning from way before customers even are aware that this car is coming. And then you see it on the road and you see customers driving it, and you can't do anything but just have a really big smile on your face, knowing that you had something to do with that. So very exciting.
The way I looked at it, so all those different cars that I was product manager of, when you see it on the road, it's less, it's just like, having a good look at your child and say, that's my baby, wow, between all the planning, specking, pricing, colors, packs, and all the negotiations. It's an effort to get them out there, and it takes time. But I think, the OEMs now have to figure out how to, say, cope with with this new technology. Versus the Teslas of the world, say, because up to now there's been a set development cycle and a time plan in terms of how long it takes to develop and prep and tool up for a new car, and then it has a 7-year life cycle, and then pretty much technology remains similar with the midlife cycle impulse, or a facelift as we know it as. And that's the life cycle of a car. And it seems as if the rules have changed completely, and Tesla's come in and they've shaken up the market, and now everyone needs to develop new batteries very quickly and get those batteries range right, and get everything else around what the new players in the industry are doing. And therefore, I hope the established players like the BMWs can adapt as quickly as possible. And I see with with all the new cars, you're certainly getting there very quickly. And it's just a matter of time before, the book is rewritten, so to speak. And then you guys are totally, on that Tesla, call it, plan in terms of releasing new cars, releasing new batteries, etc., etc. So well done. And also with a car like an iX3, in my opinion, if I was to start a taxi business, a taxi cab business, or a car rental company, and now I have an electric vehicle that has a product that is totally fit for use, let's put it that way, that has the range, that has the storage capacity, that has the people carrying capacity, that can cope with maybe, a little bit of rough, bad road conditions. And now for the first time, I see BMW's got a purebred, call it regular, a regular product of, say, normal, normal capabilities as the rest of the range. But it's purely electric, so it's clean and it's green and it can cope. So I think you're going to have a very high volume seller when that car launches towards the end of the year. So well done. I just hope the pricing is right, because obviously then when you get to that corporate side of the business, it's all about pricing, and it needs to make sense in that in that regard.
Sure. I mean,
Uh,
with regards to its positioning as well, in terms of where it sits within the product portfolio.
Yeah, so beautiful. Over and above that, the main question that I wanted to ask you, and I'm gonna pick your smart brain on this. Uh, in your opinion, right? South Africans now have to get used to this idea of electromobility and on-demand solutions, ride hailing, etc. This is new topics to me, and I know that you know a lot more about these topics than I do. In your opinion, the typical South African buyer that likes to buy, and even if it's leased, but they have sole access to one car, whether it's leased or HP or whatever, or a cash purchase. So they don't share their cars with anybody. Their car is their private space. It's an extension of their personalities. And now we're moving into this new era of on-demand solutions and car sharing. Please talk us through that. In your opinion, how is it going to play out, and how are you going to sell this to us?
Yeah, so car sharing is obviously the second part of my portfolio. So we often talk about it as on-demand mobility solutions. So I mean, it can take many forms. And I mean, I think what was great is the fact that you already have the guys like Uber, Bolt operating within the market. So people are already kind of used to this idea of, I actually don't always need to be driving myself. So I think they were one of the first people that really came in and said, okay, great, we need to change the way people move. I mean, that's the main thing. And the reason why I talk about people movement is because it can come in different shapes and forms. So the fact of Uber is just one type of way you can help people move from one place to another. And then you obviously get others. So that would obviously fall within your ride hailing category. You then also get, for example, car sharing, where yes, we are used of maybe renting a car. So I travel, I get to the airport, I rent a car, I use that for my trip, I take it back. But the fact is the customers are also changing. So you often find as well a lot of the new people that are coming into the market, the new people that are now of age, the different generations, a lot of them have also realized that I have more options. I don't have to go and basically purchase a vehicle. I can basically just use mobility services to get to where I need to get to. And whether that's ride hailing or whether that is maybe the car sharing space, where I can basically, for a very good rate or price, is literally just take a car for an hour or 30 minutes to get to point A and B and back. And currently you don't see a lot of that. Yes. But the fact is that the opportunity is there. So, I mean, we start to play a lot within the space. I mean, we're trialing a lot of different business models at this point in time. So we have a very exciting project that we're busy with at the moment with Mini and Black Brick, where we're really starting to look at car sharing. And so far it's going really, really well. I think you need to just make sure that the type of target market that you're looking at is the right one. Your business model is correct. So for example, you need to also make sure that when you're playing in the space that you understand the space, because car sharing and ride hailing don't necessarily compete. They are just different forms of mobility solutions. And yes, there's lots of room within the market for different forms of mobility solutions. We even see it in different, so even if you're not looking at automobiles as well, I mean, we see it with bikes, you see it with scooters. So I've been fortunate enough to travel quite a bit. I'm sure you have as well. So you go to a lot of these countries, you rent a scooter. I just want to get from this part of the city to that part of the city. I'll park it where it needs to be parked. And what's great is a lot of these are electric as well, right? Yeah. So you park it, it gets charged, and you carry on with your day. And, you know, it doesn't actually matter where I am. I have accessibility to some sort of mobility. And you're also going to start to see that coming into the market because there are opportunities. And I'm aware that there are a lot of companies that are also trialing and testing within different regions in the country. So I'm very excited for them because I can see the opportunities and I can see the growth, and the people's mindsets are changing as well, which is a big thing. So the fact that you don't necessarily just need to own a car, but you can also just make sure that you can still be mobile, because that's the main game. We want to be part of your mobility, your journey from A to B in whatever form it may be.
Oh, that's wonderful. And what makes me excited about the BMW group is within the group, you've got BMW, Mini, Motorrad, and BMW Bank. And within those organizations, I hope you'd be able to offer us a solution where Devon can rent a Mini maybe for everyday transport to the office. And then on the weekend, when he wants to play on an e-bike, maybe as all part of my contract of the same value, I'll be able to swap the car for the bike. And then maybe I need an X vehicle to go on the family holiday. And within that one contract, I have therefore say access or the option to call on any of the products in the range. And that's just another very different unique way. So you have, say, one cost factor without having to have 4 cars in the garage. So very exciting options. Well, if that's possible, and if that, if that can be made available.
Sure. So I mean, the fact is that if that's where the customers are also moving to, and the fact is we are here to help provide mobility solutions, and in whichever form that may take. For us who are very, very customer centric, we need to make sure that we look at anything, and anything's a possibility right now. So that's why they get people like me. We think very differently. We kind of go against the grain a little bit, and we try new things. And you have to keep trying new things to be able to find the sweet spot and to be able to see what works.
Yeah. And from what I've seen in the industry, there's very few individuals like you. Us old timers, sometimes we like to do things exactly like we did 100 years ago. And, you sell a car with the same manual and you expect life to not change, and things are changing. And we need the young blood to come in, and we need the, I don't know, generation, what are we on now? So, but yeah. we need the high-tech people to come in and shake things up and teach us a few things.
Well, sometimes the new ones also make me feel a bit old sometimes as well. So, but I mean, we keep learning and we keep growing.
It's beautiful, and we are so excited, again to have you. We really are looking forward to 1st and 2nd of March, and I know that you're going to be a major part of it. So, thank you once again. Is there any maybe parting, parting ideas you want to plant in our minds as we lead up to the conference, just to say, guys, think about this, or give us an idea of what you're going to speak about, so we can also get a little bit excited and look forward to it?
Sure. So I think from my perspective, I think I really want to just really talk about electric mobility, and within South Africa specifically, because people often think when you start to talk about electromobility that this is still something that's very far from South Africa. And it's actually not. It's right here, and we have the opportunity to really jump on it and make the best of it. So it's really great to start seeing a lot of companies that are really focusing on this, and not just the OEMs. You're starting to see the public guys as well starting to question, how do we do this? How do we get better? How do we really start to boost this type of industry? You start to see a lot of companies investing, for example, in charging infrastructure, because they understand how things are going to be changing. We know that when it comes to electric vehicles, there's lots of benefits. We can talk obviously the normal reduction in emissions. We can talk about the fact that your cost of ownership is a lot lower as well. Fewer working parts in comparison to combustion engines, therefore lower wear and tear. We know that the performance and the drive, I spoke about driving an electric car earlier, it's a different ballgame, right? Because the electric engine, it generates instant torque, right?
Yes.
And so it's fast off that start line. And then the responsive acceleration, you've got the regenerative braking as well, so helping you from a power perspective as well. And most of the electric vehicles obviously also have that lower center of gravity, which improves your handling, your responsiveness, your ride comfort. We can go through and the fact that obviously you get a lot of more digital experiences when it comes to these sorts of cars. And when you start to really look at it, this is the future. And you're going to see more and more brands investing, producing. You're going to see it coming in from a lot of the other countries and markets. So the fact is it's going to come into the market. And we need to be aware of that. And I think we need to try and be prepared for that. So from my presentation perspective, I'll obviously talk about, yes, BMW's been in the game for a long time, but not a lot of people kind of know what have we been doing and what is our why. So we talk a lot about sustainability, but I think people, just to kind of give a bit more context into why this is important for us, why have we focused on this type of topic, how are we doing these sorts of things, and then the exciting parts in terms of what we can see coming, but really just understanding BMW's role in this. It's not just about selling cars. It's really about sustainability. It's about that inclusiveness. It's about understanding the market and really just trying to give the right product offerings to the right people. So I'll be delving a little bit more into that and hopefully get people quite excited, and let's see what happens.
Oh, we can't wait. Oh, it's just wonderful. And the topic in my heart, as well, is now that we have this new technology, in my opinion, we have the same opportunity that the telephone guys had. When they said in Africa, maybe the infrastructure was not there for telephone landlines, so we can't get telephones out to the people. And in Africa right now, and maybe even a little bit in South Africa, we've had the issue with, relatively speaking, more less more poor fuel, more poor fuel quality, for want of a better term. We didn't have the latest generation fuels out of Europe, and that would have been a challenge for us and for Africa. But now we've got this new technology, and we can almost leapfrog that challenge, just like how Africa leapfrogged telephone landlines into cell phones. So in my opinion, when we go straight to electric cars, trucks, buses, etc., it's a new technology, and therefore there's no need for that lag period that typically might exist between South Africa and Europe. And we get straight there, and we get these cars onto ships, and we therefore have a very similar timeline as to Europe. And there's no need for that lag. And therefore we can get excited about it because it's new, it's the future. And we've got fabulous companies just like BMW and smart people like you to help guide us through this process. And therefore, at EMCSA, we start the process for South Africa, but with a South African perspective. So now we talk about our challenges, our electrical grid. How do we get infrastructure in place in time? Is Eskom ready for it? And then together with you and all the best minds that we can find, we try to map a way forward. So thank you so much. Can't wait. It's just a month to go. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Thank you, Claycia. Wonderful. See you soon.
Thanks, Steven.
Take care. Cheers.
Cheers.